that he by and large, well, he was a mistake. They weren't planning him. And his dad played minor league baseball with Dusty Baker, and that's how he got the name Dusty Hannahs.
Really?
And
He's
Dusty,
named after Dusty Baker?
Yes. His dad.
Does he get a free supply of toothpicks?
I don't know if he gets that. Or sweatbands. How about the sweatbands? Yeah. Dusty would always work. And I know John Thompson, our friend, always loved Dusty sweatbands. But on the offensive end, there's a place for Dusty in the NBA. Here's the rub. Dusty might score 20. He might give up 35.
Well, that's true, and you'll notice who was in at the end of the game.
Yes, he's not the defensive stopper.
When defense was being called for. And Grayson Allen made a very good play at the end. And I don't mean to sound facetious about this, but there were plenty of people, and I don't blame them, really, that just don't like Grayson Allen because of the dirty play that he exhibited at Duke, and frankly, what he was doing here at the beginning of Summer League.
Almost had an incident late in that game last night on a hard foul.
Yeah. But the truth is, he was big down the stretch. He made a couple of key baskets, doesn't miss free throws, and frankly, he made the defensive play that sealed it.
He did. He did make those plays, and maybe he would be one of those guys that the Grizzlies might really get lucky on. We'll see. But look, you know how I feel about anything. Bluff City Classic, pickup game. If they got a scoreboard, I want to win. Grizzlies won. Congratulations. And I mean that sincerely. And it might, as I said yesterday, it might be the first itty-bitty small seed planted into something special somewhere down the road. We don't know. We hope so.
Do you realize they were the 8th seed coming into this tournament?
Well, you got to watch that 8-9 game, Dave. You know how that goes. That's a tough one to pick in the brackets.
I got to tell you, for our 8th seed, they played really, really, really well. And that was it was fun sort of to watch last night, and to watch Taylor Jenkins, because he's the only real coach that is the NBA coach that coached Summer League, and
I like that. Steve Kerr went out there his first year with Golden State,
right?
And did that.
I think that is saying, you know what, I could use a little experience. I want my guys to know I'm going to work as hard as they do. I thought it was absolutely terrific, and
always good to have a couple laps around the track. Yeah. Now I don't think Taylor Jenkins ever is the head coach again of the Summer League team. One title in Summer League is kind of all you can really win.
No, I agree. And
you don't want to be the Dave Hill at the local golf tournament of the Summer League.
But can you tell me that this new front office with this new guy, could they have asked for a better beginning, a first
storybook?
Yeah. No, it's. It really is outstanding.
And Dave, I wanted, a few weeks ago, it might have been when you were away, I wouldn't say screed, but just the compliant, obliging tone sometimes the Grizzlies get. I kind of made it was all about me. I made it about me, that I wasn't going to participate anymore. But that does not mean carping and constant criticism when that's not warranted. It just a little more judicious, a little more down the middle. When it's good, I want to say good. I hope it's good more than it's bad. We need it. This is a lot more fun to do every day when we're towel waving and the Tigers are on an NCAA tournament run and the local teams are doing well in college football. It's a lot more fun for me and for us, and I think for our listeners. The old rising tide lifts all boats, should be talking fun things instead of hot seat and how many more losses can they take. And the Grizzlies have had a lot of incoming. A lot of it self-inflicted the last few years, and maybe we're turning this around, and the next great phase of the Grizzlies is kind of being cast right now.
Speaking of coming in or incoming or however you want to put it, Tiger Woods had his press conference that we were hoping we would get a lot of insight in today at 5:30 this morning.
5 bells. I was up watching.
And I must confess to you, the great feel that I had about him coming and all the different folks that have said to me that they know he's already got a place at Southwind rented and all the other stuff that we've heard, and it only makes sense. He hasn't played in a month, and after listening to him today, I'm not so sure, like I was 2 days ago, that he's coming.
Only 10 rounds on the PGA Tour since slipping into that green jacket. And I'll say what I texted you today, Dave. I still am getting from the right people, insiders, that they feel great about it. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure with our audience, a lot of those same insiders had a great feeling about the Tigers going to the Big 12.
Yeah. I hope they're a lot more right about this than they were there. But the bottom line is it's not a sure thing. Because if it was, he would have said so today at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
right? I mean, he would have said, I'm coming. And I hate to say this, but he did that at the last time he played in a WGC.
Yeah, he called a shot.
It was at a press conference before the tournament he played, and that was actually on a Wednesday. They did it for this one on a Tuesday. Bottom line is, he said, I'm playing. He did not say that today. He didn't say he wasn't coming. It's still up in the air. But when you talk about how hard it is for you, that the Masters took so much out of you, that you can only play 10 rounds of golf since then, and you know that you're going to play in the playoffs, and if you did play in this, you would end up playing, well, he said five times in 6 weeks, but to me, if you played in this one, that's right, exactly, because you play 2 now, then you take a week off, and then you got 3 weeks to play.
In the stretch.
5 times in 6 weeks, can you do it? And, I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer either, but today I was up bright and early waiting for somebody to ask him about something other than the Guinness beer he's drinking over in Ireland. I get that, but
is Guinness beer paying him? Has he got a new deal? Is that why?
Well, some of the question from the Irish, the brogue was so thick, he couldn't understand them. They had to repeat a lot of questions, and I couldn't understand it either because they do, as we well know, they have a very, very thick brogue. Our SEC Media Day coverage brought to you by First Bank, Jason's Deli, the official car of SEC Media Days, the Chevy Tahoe I'm driving from All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, Campbell Clinic, Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center, Blue City Cafe on world-famous Bill Street, and by Ronnie Grizzani's. And nothing says Memphis Italian food like Ronnie Grizzani's, celebrating 110 years of a Grizzani's restaurant history here in Memphis, in Memphis. Yes, you can.
I actually ate lunch there today.
Good for you, Dave.
And I will tell you that Randy Bellasoma said they have had already so much response. They love listening to the coverage. And also, next week for the WGC, that if you show your ticket stub that you've gone to the golf tournament, you get free garlic bread. Free garlic bread. I hope.
Boom.
I hope that works for press passes. That's all I'm going to say.
We'll be there all the time. We'll keep it for a year with our press pass.
Yeah.
No, we can't do them like that.
Yeah.
We can't do renowned chef Judge Grizzani like that. Judge proud to be carrying on that family legacy and tradition at New Ronnie Grizzani's, named for his legendary dad, the great Ronnie Grizzani, in Regalia Center, Poplar and Shady Grove, extensive Italian and American wine by the glass. Great bar, sports always on, guarantee any, probably SEC Media Days coverage on. If that's the SEC cameraman, I'm waving it right now while he's filming Steve Spurrier. Maybe I'm on it in Ronnie's. Open for lunch Monday through Saturday, 11 to 2. And it's not all pasta. It's also the big Ronaldo burger, best burger in town. The salads, the Miss Mary's salad, to be one of the staples of Ronnie Grizzani's. Live music on Wednesday and Thursday night. Stax legend Eddie Harrison on Wednesday. Pianist Keith Kimbrough on Thursday. Brunch on Saturday in addition to lunch from 11 to 2. Crab Benedict, outstanding. The shrimp polenta, just terrific. Fresh oysters and crab daily, and I mean daily, flown in fresh every day at Ronnie Grizzani's in Regalia. Fun bar with signature cocktails, 2 private dining rooms at Regalia. The first family of Italian food in Memphis. Ronnie Grizzani's in Regalia at Poplar and Shady Grove. And you take your golf tournament ticket stub or credential in, and you get good stuff.
She didn't say credential, but we're saying credential. And we should also point out that we want to thank Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center and Blue City for you being in Birmingham. And we've got a great lineup coming. Jimmy Hyams, who's done so much good work with
legendary Knoxville journalist
on the UT beat. Brent Beard is in Birmingham, and we'll talk Florida and Georgia with him. We've got Nick Suss from the Clarion Ledger coming on to talk a bit about Ole Miss. And then at 5 o'clock, and I'm really looking forward to this, The College Football Playoff president, Bill Hancock, will be here. Fair question or not fair question?
Okay.
If there's expansion, will there be a seat for one G5 representative if you go to 8?
I think it's very fair, and I think it needs to be asked. And I know Bill will definitely try to swat it away and talk contractual terms. But, look, we're not the only one. Everybody's talking it, and it's coming. Also, Bo Marchand at 4:30, a little earlier for Bo with us on Tuesday to talk a smidge NFL in there. And at 5:30, Olin Buchanan to talk the Texas Aggies, and they love being called the Texas Aggies. They like the A&M omitted sometimes. They love Texas Aggies talk. We wrap it up at 5:45 with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
There we go, and that is your lineup for today.
Top story of the day.
Well, I'm going to go to Newport, Rhode Island.
Yep.
And we'll talk with Evan Barnes about what was happening today. But for me, the top story was a twofold from there. One, Mike Oresco. And I must confess, I did not watch, but I read his entire address. So I don't know how his delivery was, but I know his writing was impeccable. How he pointed out the differences between the G5 and the American, and how they really are a P6 with the schedules, the successes, the new bowl tie-ins, the amount of games that they've got coming up with Power 5 teams, and the fact that they've already got 60 wins against Power 5 teams since they went into existence. It was pretty compelling and
That's
interesting
how you get in.
stuff. Right.
And you win your way in, Dave. You knock the door down.
And that's what he said, basically. And he quoted, I think, Truman, Roosevelt, and Kennedy in this speech. It was pretty good.
Pretty good ones.
And then they came out with their preseason poll by the media, and the Tigers barely in front of Houston to win the West. UCF barely in front of Cincinnati to win the East. The order actually went UCF, Cincinnati, Memphis, and Houston. Those are the 4 teams picked at the top of the American Athletic Conference football poll.
Isn't it fun and so transformational to be talking about the Tigers at or near the top instead of kind of doing it with a little summertime drudgery of just them being listed somewhere? What great work! And he mentioned presidents that spanned from 1945 to 1963 in Truman, Eisenhower, and Kennedy.
He's all over it.
He is all over it.
And I'm just looking at this, and there's 6 really solid football teams.
Really solid.
And then, Navy's down maybe a little bit, but you never know. Tulane and SMU are ahead of them in the West, and we were talking about how good Tulane might really be. And here's Tulsa, a team that normally is pretty good, picked last in that division. I mean, this is a good football league. There is no question about that.
Yeah, and it's no explaining it anymore. And I've said it. I don't mean it cutting, and I know some were irritated by it. This is the first league the Tigers have been in that when I'm off on a Saturday, usually I get this email, we don't care what you're worried about off on a Saturday. But when I'm off on a Saturday and, Ole Miss and SEC in front of me, I'm checking AAC scores. I'm seeing what this one's doing against that one because I'm interested. My top story, 4 coaches here today on Radio Row at SEC Media Days, one with a national title and a reservoir of goodwill at his new job and plenty of cash. One almost with 2 national titles the last 2 years, and his school thirsting for their first national title in 39 years since the days of Herschel Walker ruling the earth. One at a school that won one last time 21 years ago, and they've been through a lot of turmoil, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, that being Tennessee. And Matt Luke at Ole Miss that took over and had a mess to take over, really had the complete start over, which is almost impossible to do in the SEC. He had to start over, and it's big money at all 4 of those jobs, but it's big pressure at all 4 of them as well.
Well, the first one that you mentioned by way of description had to be Jimbo Fisher. He is actually on SEC Network, which we have on in our studio right now. What has his message been so far? Have you been able to gather anything from that?
He's building. He's trying to build something. Year 2 and off to a good start. More than a baby step last year. A big first step.
I'll be interested to really see what they do this year because I'm a buyer. I am a buyer of Jimbo. I've been since he was
but that's an expensive stock, Dave.
And it is. But, blue chip stocks usually are expensive.
They are, and he is.
Not top story of the day.
Well, that's really the Tiger Woods news for me, because now I'm very nervous, and I guess we're going to have to wait till Friday. And by the way, that's when we'll have Daryl Smith on, when all of the folks announced. The good news today, by the way, was that Jordan Spieth has decided he would come. 41 now of the top 50 in the world will be here. We're still missing 3 from the top 10. The other is this thing that came from the Big 12 media days, where if you use horns down, you know how you hook them horns?
Yeah.
And if you go down with that is supposed to be a taunt. They are going to be fairer about it. Instead of automatically giving you a flag for taunting, if you do it quickly and don't show it directly to a player, it will be allowed. Otherwise, flag.
What if you do horns up with one hand and you're flipping it off with other? Anything there? I think we kind of know, don't we?
Yeah, I think we know.
My not top story: Grizzlies win a title. Grizzlies win. Go the Giants' famous announcer on it. No parades, no rings, no banners, but maybe a first itty-bitty step to some sweet day of all that goes with the championship, with the parade and all that.
Well,
maybe someday.
You know who won the Summer League last year?
I saw this. Help me.
Portland. And,
Yeah, okay.
And they have a decent team, but they're nowhere near a championship.
They got a real good team.
Look, this is fun, and I'm glad for them. And
I am too.
And again, you couldn't take a better first step than this young front office and this young coach than what they've done with their maneuverings and with winning the Summer League. But the bottom line is, this doesn't mean a title. This is intriguing. It's interesting. And I think there's one nice thing we learned. I think we've learned that Brandon Clark is really going to be a decent player. We've got some hope. Moving up to get him at 21 when you were at 23, just to make sure, might have been really good identification. At least that's the way it seems. That's all that I gather from this Summer League, because Summer League titles mean zip-up.
That's right. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. A lot of Tennessee Vols fans at Lexus of Memphis. Great offers on all 2019 models and always on special lease options. If you ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis, they know you'll look great in one. They'll get you in one by the end of business today. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2019 flagship LS500, and you will be looking and driving great in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
This is not top story, but this is a very interesting story. It is a recommended read for you from me. And I don't know if Brett, you've seen this yet. Commercial Appeal put it out about an hour ago or so. There's a story, and it's not by a sports writer. It's by somebody on news side about William Bedford, who and another fella. And it's a good story on a couple of fronts. One, we all know the trials that William Bedford has gone through, and William Bedford admits in this story, it's the first time I've ever heard it, and I've talked to William 100 times probably in my life, but he didn't really like basketball, didn't care about basketball, but because he was 6'9" in sixth grade, they made him play. And he
threw him in the post.
Turned out he was pretty good.
Yeah.
Good enough to play at Memphis for a couple of years and then play in the NBA for a bunch of years and win a title with Detroit. And William was never really settled in, and I think William had some issues. Really, I think he said this in the past with not ADD, but the synapses of the brain without medicine really didn't work and fire the way that they should, and so he was never medicated until way late in life. Probably way too late for him to really get as much benefit of it as he could. And he ended up going to jail. He got out in 12, and he hasn't been in jail since then, but he's floundered a little bit, and he's tried a lot of different things. And I remember him coming on the air here when he was working for a car dealer. And he tried that for a little bit and obviously didn't work out. And then lo and behold, he's got a roommate, or not a roommate, a former teammate, Kenny Moody. And Kenny works behind the scenes. And I've seen Kenny at so many
good
different
soul.
functions. That's a great way to put it. He is a really good soul who really cares. I saw him at a fundraiser for a summer camp for underprivileged kids and mentally challenged kids, whatever the political correct term is to in this day and age to use. And he was spearheading that particular program. And he's spearheaded this thing now called Manhood University, which is basically a 6-week program to help those getting out of prison, just out of prison, that have been down on their luck, how to train them for some sort of employment. And then at some points, the city provides jobs for those people that graduate from this 6-week program. One of the people in the story did get a job with the city. I don't believe that William has gotten a particular job there. He'd like to sort of manage a park district community center. Is what he's after. I don't know if those jobs are all that available, but it was a very good story. So if you get a chance, go read it, Commercial Appeal. It's about Manhood University. Kenny Moody is spearheading the program, and his former teammate, William Bedford, is a beneficiary. We got to take a break. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, but we're going to be all over the place today, and it's brought to you in part by Sleepy Z's, Michael Zellner's place. You know where that is by now, in Bartlett, Kirby Whitten Road, and Summer Avenue. And Sleepy Z's is the place that you have said is the best mattress store in Memphis for the last 4 years, and furniture too, and discounts all the time on both. There's not sales because you know what? It's a sale every day. 50 to 80% off on Serta and Simmons Beauty Rest. When it comes to mattresses, when we're talking furniture, Ashley Signature Design, Benchcraft, and a whole kiosk full. And if you go through the doors, again, Kirby Whitten Road in Summer, and say Sports 56, Wolo, Stats, Drew, whatever you say, 10% more off. Please go check it out. Talk to Michael. He loves chatting, and they're open 7 days a week. He's there almost all of the time. Sleepy Z's by Michael Zellner, where you never wake up on the wrong side of the bed. We take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk some AAC, the American, with Evan Barnes, the beat writer for the Commercial Appeal on the football Tigers. He's next on Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving, built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via a download.
Family Leisure's pool clearance sale is July 8th through the 21st. Above ground pools starting at $11.99. 24-foot pools starting at $17.99. And you can get free upgrades on select pools that include pool filters, liners, and winter covers. Special 12-month financing is available. Plus, half off on toys, floats, and pool games. Summer's just started. There's plenty of time to swim, so make a splash at the Family Leisure Pool Clearance Sale. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
The best golfers in the world are coming to Memphis for the inaugural WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. Sports 56 and 87.7 FM will be broadcasting live at TPC Southwind throughout the day, Wednesday through Friday of tournament week, keeping you up to date with the latest tournament news and talking with players and officials. Our coverage from TPC Southwind on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM is presented by Landers Ford. It's also brought to you by Curry and Jerk, Miller Lite, Gatlin Insurance, Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center, and the Half Chef.
Join our producer extraordinaire Austin Eldridge this Thursday from 11 to noon at Landers Ford, 2082 West Poplar, Collierville. This will be another chance to win World Golf Championship tickets at Southwind, July 24th through 28th. That's this Thursday from 11 to noon at Landers on Poplar in Collierville to practice your putting skills and have a chance to win WGC tickets at Southwind, July 24th through 28th. See you there.
Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
Hello, welcome back in. Brett in Birmingham. And, of course, I am here in the Family Leisure Studios where that wonderful pool clearance sales continue. You've got till the 21st. That is next Sunday. That is all you have to really cash in on the above-ground pool. Starting at $11.99, those 24-foot pools a little bigger. They're only $17.99, and you get free upgrades, pool filters, liners, winter covers, all of these great things on select pools. You can save up to 50% on toys, floats, and pool games. And you may be saying, why buy now? Well, I'll tell you why. There's plenty of summer still to go, which means plenty of swimming, and you can beat the next year's prices with special 12-month financing available during this sale. All you got to do is get there. Family Leisure and I-40 is at I-40 in Wooden Road. There you will find this pool clearance sale and 70,000 square feet of family and fun all coming together. You can hear in the background our friend Brett in Birmingham. We will travel across the city. Evan Barnes is standing by. He's been monitoring the American Athletic Conference media days in Newport, Rhode Island all day long. And I want to start, Evan, and thank you for joining us today. But I want to start with the Oresco address, which I thought was really, really well done. Give me your feelings on the commissioner's address today.
Well, it's funny. I thought that what he said was, it was a well-said 30-minute yarn. Mike Oresco's a man of many words. He referenced Moses, Teddy Roosevelt, JFK, the moon landing anniversary today. But amidst all that flowery language, he was very clear when he said that the AAC right now will stay at 11 teams, which we had expected. Jason Muntins, my coworker at the Commercial Appeal, had already reported a source and made him aware of that. So it was not surprising because I don't think that the AAC really needs to go out and try to hurry up and get a 12th team just to have a 12th team. I think if they do consider themselves this Power Six conference, if you will, I think they can kind of sit back and let other teams state the case for them. And I think knowing what Mike Oresco was talking about with this Power Six campaign, I think it's actually a good strategy, and it doesn't allow them to just kind of just add a team and rush into a decision that could probably maybe, be the wrong decision a couple of years from now.
I commend him because he said that last week on our air that they were not even really going to take phone calls. They did initially, and the schools that were interested in becoming a member of the American were the ones that would not strengthen their brand. There might have been 2 or 3 that they would have had some interest in to strengthen that, but apparently those schools were not interested at this moment, so he thought it would be better just to stay at 11.
Yeah, and that probably makes sense, too. I mean, I'm sure if they reached out to some schools, people have mentioned BYU. BYU's got a pretty sweet deal as an independent, and so does Army. So I think people thinking that, BYU and Army make sense because they're probably the most profile independent school. But if you're BYU, why would you give that up to join the AAC? And I don't really think that, teams in the AAC want to see another option team like Army. Navy's already a tough team. Navy's already a tough team to prepare for, but if you have Army as well, I don't think they would.
I'm with you, Evan. That's a lot of diving at your players' legs for sure. No surprise, UConn didn't get a lot of votes to win the East, did they?
No, I don't think people are expecting UConn to win anything much in the AAC. I think they'll probably be a little bit better, but I think the only thing they're going to win is probably, the fastest goodbye that anybody could hear.
A lot of one-finger salutes.
But by the way, the point total for UConn was the lowest of any of the American schools. They got a total of 30 points. Tulsa was next with 38. I guess they would be 11. Man. I think Tulsa will probably be better than people think, but I think UConn is just going to be awful.
I think they'll be worse than 30 votes, Evan.
No, I think the problem with UConn last year was they were just so young. They played so many of those guys who were freshmen and sophomores who just really weren't ready for college football. And the good news is they're going to be better because they were literally, the worst defense that many of us have probably seen. So
ever.
You can only get up from there.
Yeah.
Ever's a long time, too, Evan. Boy, they were really bad, and it just showed no hope at all. Memphis Tigers, number 1 in the West, got it by one first-place vote, 15-14, over the Houston Cougars, who they blasted last year the day after Thanksgiving and sent Major Applewhite on his merry way, 165-162 overall. This year, do you think Houston is the primary antagonist to the Memphis Tigers in the West, Evan?
Absolutely, and it's not even close because obviously I was surprised that Houston got as many first-place votes as they did. I thought Memphis would have been a little bit more ahead of them. But Houston obviously is going to be bringing De'Aaron King to the fold when they play Memphis. And let's not forget, King didn't play in that game last year. If he played in that game, who knows what could have happened. I do think Memphis probably would have won, but I think that game would have been just as close, if not as much of a struggle. So I think the De'Aaron King factor is probably going to help Houston, but I do think that Memphis, looking at the West, I know people are really high on Tulane. I have my own thoughts about what that game will be for Memphis. But I think that if you're looking at the West, Houston's the main team that you should worry about. And if they get past Navy, which, they didn't beat last year, as we all remember, they get by Navy, I think you're looking at Houston as really the only team that's really going to, contend with them in that division.
I have a question for you guys, both of you. When the commissioner was on with us last week, he mentioned that if they stay at 11, they would like to do away with the divisions and have much more of a round robin. But he would like to assign, like the Big Ten does, 2 rival games that you would play every year and then rotate the others. And he mentioned right off the bat Houston as one of the natural rivals for Memphis, and I buy that. Do you guys buy Houston, and who would be your second?
Evan?
Oh, that's tough because honestly, Houston, that to me is the best rivalry outside of UCF USF. Gosh, I mean, I know people would want to say UCF, but I honestly don't think Memphis and UCF should play every year just because I think that rivalry is I don't want to say it's one-sided right now because obviously Memphis is giving UCF a tough game, but I'd like to see Memphis probably play like, you got me on the spot here. What about, say, maybe Navy? Keep Navy on the schedule. Just because.
Well, mine's Cincinnati. Houston and Cincinnati.
I'm with you, Brett. I like Navy because I like going to Annapolis, but if we really talk about history, Cincinnati has been a longtime rival of Memphis. That makes sense to me that you would play Houston and Cincy every year.
Dave, even the nightmare of Gino Guidugli.
Even that nightmare, yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
That's interesting.
4th and 22.
Because I didn't realize how much history Memphis and Cincinnati had in football. Because I know basketball, obviously, there have been some great ones. But that was I wouldn't mind going to Cincinnati, every other year.
Memphis had a chance to go to their first bowl. This was before the New Orleans Bowl with Tommy West, and Cincinnati had a 4th down and 22. And if Memphis stops,
I thought it was 29, but it was a
might
lot.
be. It might be. It was 4th and a mile and a half, and Gino Guidugli found a receiver
by a half yard,
and that was the end of the bowl dream for them. Of course, Memphis did get it a year later. And that was an unbelievable trip to New Orleans. But, no, I think Cincinnati and Houston would be good. But, Evan, I like your logic just because it's neat to go every other year to the Naval Academy.
And I could just tell you, last year when I went, that was my first time being in Annapolis. So being around that stadium, the pageantry, all the military history, you look at all that and you're just in awe. And, you just remind yourself that this is really, really special to just be here. And granted, I'm sure Memphis would love not to play the option every year, but at the same time, the last 2 years, those games have been really, really good. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, why not? But yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Annapolis. Like before the game, go get some nice seafood in downtown Annapolis, chill out there and then enjoy the game. I mean, it couldn't hurt, right?
Right.
That's right. Evan, I want those thoughts. You said I've got my own thoughts about Tulane. Give them to us.
Well, as we know last year, that Tulane game was probably my pick for the most disappointing loss from Memphis all year. They were banged.
I would think, Evan, that was the most disappointing loss, truthfully, in the entire Mike Norvell era.
I think I'd agree with you because, honestly, that game was set up for them to do well, even though there was a little bit of rain. They should not have been out there looking as bad as they did, and it was almost lucky they were barely trailing after the third quarter because they just played really awful. And that game everything just fell apart for them. They just looked like they just had no effort or anything. So I have a feeling that Memphis, when they host Tulane this year, that game might be a beat them down, payback James Brown style. We want to let you guys know that we are going to let you know that game was a fluke. Now, I do think Tulane is going to be, everyone says they're a good sleeper this year, but I think Memphis is going to be so eager to prove that last year's game was an aberration. And if they're healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis just puts the hurt on them.
I tend to agree with that. I really do. Let's talk about the favorite here, UCF, without their first two quarterbacks. We know that Milton's not coming back this year. We know that Mack, who was going to be their quarterback, who did such a good job in the last 3 games that he got to play in, he's out, at least for a good period of time, with his ankle injury. And now you got this kid Winbush, who really had good feet, didn't throw the ball all that well for Notre Dame, which is why they made a move to switch quarterbacks, even though they were winning with him. Do you concur that UCF is the hands-down favorite to win the league, or will you put Cincinnati or Houston and Memphis in that spot?
So I voted on that poll before we found out about Dario Maddox Jr., and I had voted Cincinnati to win the East. I just feel like I like their quarterback-running back combo. I like Luke Fickell as a coach. I like that defense they had that was really, really good. I think Cincinnati is going to push UCF this year just because I think they return a little bit more. Obviously, UCF is going to have, a bit of a letdown, but I just like Cincinnati. I don't think they're going to drop off as much as people think. Like, will they win 11 games next year? This year? I don't think so, but I do think they're going to be very tough, and I personally think that Memphis-Cincinnati game on Black Friday to end the regular season will be a great game. So I feel like Cincinnati, I think, is my team to be in the East. But I think, you give UCF credit. Josh Heupel did a great job in year one. Obviously, I think UCF has some great pieces coming back. They have those running backs. They have Richie Grant, who's probably going to be one of the top defensive players in the entire conference. So I think UCF will be fine, but I do not think that UCF will be the clear-cut favorite in the East as the voting indicated. I was surprised that they got 19 votes. I thought it would have been a lot closer, just like Memphis and Houston was.
I thought Temple might steal a vote or two from them, too. Evan Barnes, we appreciate it. That is for sure. We will talk to you more and more as the season gets closer. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Evan Barnes, beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, brought to you in part by the Memphis Public Links. And a reminder, we've got the Amateur Championship coming your way, and it's coming your way on the 18th, I believe, right after this weekend. It's going to be terrific. And I think it's a little bit too late now. I know it is. It's a little bit too late to register. But, man, that Memphis Pub Links, you should go out and see it. If you're not playing in it, and you know that'll be at Fox Meadows, it will be at Pine Hill. If you haven't seen Pine Hill in a bunch of years, please go check that out. And the championship will be at Galloway. Memphis Pub Links, better play every day, and free golf for the youth. Free golf. at almost all the golf courses with the exception of Galloway, even on Saturday afternoon, if you come with your family. Free for those that are 17 and under. We got to take a break. When we come back, Jimmy Hyams from the Knoxville newspaper. He is next on Sports Time with Wolo and Stats.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
We're with Daryl, and I understand a couple of years ago you couldn't walk. What happened?
I suffered literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have what they call extreme osteoarthritis in both knees. I have bone spurs in the front of my knees, bone spurs in the back, as well as calcium deposits, which contribute to the decreased range of motion. I had a severe limp, especially on my right side, because I couldn't put any real weight on my right knee. So I started investigating options to relieve the pain. And of course, I knew about total knee replacements and Synvisc injections, cortisone injections. So I found Dr. Schrader online, and we had a consult, and stem cell injections literally changed my life.
When did you know you were better?
I literally limped in there, had the procedure done, and you wait about 30 minutes after it's done, and I literally walked out. I did not limp. I was pain-free. It was that immediate.
Call 901-465-4300 and see how Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell can help you today.
Hey, you guys, Memphis Paints and Sports 56 are teaming up Friday, July 19th. Come win lots of door prizes, 4 golf rounds at Wedgwood, gift cards at the Butcher Shop, and 2 lucky people win 2 box seats to the FedEx World Championship Golf Tournament, valued at $400 apiece. Wow, don't forget, complimentary Central Barbecue, yum. See y'all Friday, July 19th, Memphis Paints, 699 South Mendenhall, across the street from Half Shell. Come hungry.
Memphis Paints, 699 Mendenhall, Friday, July 19th. Sports 56 Live from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Have you noticed your air conditioning system never breaks down at a good time? We know at Conway Services the timing is never right to replace your air conditioning system. That's why we have financing options. Right now, during the dog days of summer, get your new Carrier air conditioning system as low as $99 per month. That's right, Conway Services has new Carrier air conditioning systems as low as $99 per month. Now, you can do that. Plus, your new air conditioning system comes with a 10-year parts warranty and a free programmable thermostat. And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old air conditioning system will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochen and Brett Norsworthy.
What's that?
Welcome back in. Busy day in Birmingham in the big room. Kirby Smart right now. You realize Kirby Smart is 32-10 in 3 years. That ties for the most wins ever. In the meantime, we head down to Birmingham ourselves, Radio Row. Brett standing by with Jimmy Hyams from WNML in Knoxville.
Tennessee Vols are here today, and no better person to talk about it than our friend Jimmy Hyams. Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Brett. How you doing?
Jimmy with the WNML, the Animal in Knoxville. And another year for Tennessee football, year 2 for Jeremy Pruitt.
Some people want to call it year 0 after last year, and this is year 1. I don't buy that. Tough first year. Showed some signs of having the ability to get the job done with wins against Auburn and Kentucky, both ranked teams. Yet there were 6 games Tennessee lost by at least 25 points. Not competitive against Missouri, not competitive against Vanderbilt. And so obviously there's a talent deficiency there that Tennessee's got to overcome. That's going to take a while. This is a stunning stat for those that have followed Tennessee. Not only did Tennessee not have a player drafted this year, it's the 3rd time in 5 years Tennessee hadn't had a player drafted. So there's been a shortage of talent. I think Pruitt's doing a nice job of rebuilding that roster. But in my opinion, they will not make that big jump that Tennessee fans want until 2020. I don't see it this year.
Are the Tennessee fans patient enough? I mean, they've been awfully patient.
They've had to be patient for at least a decade, right? Tennessee hadn't been to the SEC championship game since 2007. They've had some bright moments, but not enough. They are they're understanding enough to know that Pruitt has a heck of a rebuilding job to do. He took over a program that was 0-8 in the SEC, so they understand that. But year 3 is when it better kick in. Now, here's the thing, too. You need to make a bowl game this year. If you have a losing record this year, some of that patience is going to wear thin. Some of the honeymoon period is going to be gone. So I think you need to back up last year with a bowl this year and then maybe take that leap in year 3 under Pruitt.
Take us inside, as you see it, the dynamic between Coach Philip Fulmer, the athletics director, and head coach for the football team, Jeremy Pruitt.
It's an interesting dynamic. When Philip Fulmer was the head coach, his athletic director was Doug Dickey, his college coach for a while, and so he leaned on Doug Dickey at times. The same could be said of Jeremy Pruitt toward Fulmer, although Fulmer wasn't Pruitt's coach, but he's dealing with the guy that was a head coach, a Hall of Fame head coach. There are times it seems like Philip Fulmer spends a whole lot of time on that practice field, and I think there is a concern among some that he might be a little bit too involved with the daily operations in football. My feeling is this, and I can't tell you this isn't the way it is, but Fulmer should stay in the background unless Jeremy Pruitt asks for his advice. And I know that Pruitt has gone to him to talk to him time to time about advice. So I think that's probably the best way it should operate. I'm not sure if that's the way it's operating 100% of the time now. But I do think there's some advantage to having Pruitt, for Pruitt to have Fulmer in place to help him with anything he might in regard to college football, because Fulmer is a very bright guy, they're a very good football coach at Tennessee.
What will be the strength of the Tennessee?
They're pretty good. I think Garantano has a chance to take a step forward. He's got a good supporting cast at skill position. He's got a really good offensive coordinator, Jim Chaney. I think that could be a strength. I think the secondary has a chance to be pretty good. They've got 2 good young cornerbacks. They got Nigel Warrior at safety. They got Flowers, McCullough, some other young guys that can play. I like him at linebacker. I don't know if they got much depth, but I like Batuli. I like Darryl Taylor. I like Bavarius Crouch, the true freshman. I think they'll be good at linebacker. If the next question is where are the concerns, it's on the offensive line and defensive line.
That's where you win.
In this league, if it's a line of scrimmage league, that's my hesitation in saying Tennessee's going to take a big jump. I don't see it because I don't think they're good enough there. Now, in 2020, that may be a different story because I think a lot of these young people that they have on the line, both sides, will have matured and will be better players and have a greater ability to compete with the lead in the SEC. But right now, I don't see it. That's why I think Tennessee is a 6 or 7 win team this year.
The fan proverbial, if we only could win one game, if we went 1-11, who's that one game for Tennessee fans?
Vanderbilt. No, I'm just kidding.
Come on, Jimmy. You made me drop my microphone.
They lost 3 in a row to Vanderbilt. Well, it's Alabama. I mean, if you can beat the best team, the national championship caliber team, the team that's won the league, 4 times in 5 years?
Guarantee it's Jeremy Pruitt's won.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the one you want to beat. And the mentor has never lost to the pupil, right? Saban's never lost to an assistant. The most likely would be Kirby Smart. But anyway, yeah, that would be the one. But from Tennessee's perspective, they got to figure out how to beat Vanderbilt, which has won 5 of the last 7. Missouri's won 5 of the last 7. They're 0-7 against Will Muschamp. They've got to kind of build toward that. But if you gave me one game, it would be Alabama.
Yeah, and I bet it would still be that one game for Philip Fulmer because he was from that older school kind of before the Florida and the East thing.
Well, and one of the things that got John Majors in trouble was his inability to beat Alabama. So Fulmer came in and had a really good record against Alabama. Fulmer also, who's from Winchester, Tennessee, which is close to the Alabama border, he committed Alabama.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember that.
With his buddy Bill Fraley, right?
Yeah. Fans that, shall we say, that are mature fans that still look at Alabama as the bigger game, not Florida. They look at Alabama because they remember the 50s and 60s and some of those years when there was such a great rivalry between those schools.
Let me paint a scenario. And our friend Harold Grader from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl is within earshot. A 7-5 and a trip to Memphis to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl for the first time since 1986 for Tennessee Volunteers. How would the fans take that?
They'd be fine with that. So would the Liberty Bowl. Liberty Bowl would love to have Tennessee, right?
We got a lot of nodding.
Yes, sir. And they would draw well. The last time Tennessee played there, you mentioned 86, they played Minnesota. But this time
From
around,
the hills of Tennessee to the lakes of Minnesota, Lee Greenwood sang the song that night.
Last year, if Tennessee had beaten Vanderbilt, I think Tennessee would have been in the Liberty Bowl. I think they'll be in the Liberty Bowl this year at 6-6 or 7-5. That would be my guess. I know the Liberty Bowl would love to have them. You're in state. you're in a recruiting area that Tennessee would like to hit. So I think there are a lot of reasons for Tennessee to go there, and I think you'd sell it out. I think it'd be a really good venue for Tennessee, and so that's actually my prediction right now, that Tennessee will end up in Liberty Bowl this year.
I think the best thing I've seen on Twitter all of 2019, and for sure the summer of 2019, and maybe ever on Twitter, and you can see a lot of different things, but the picture of Peyton Manning going to visit with
Gus Manning,
97 years young Gus Manning, was about the kindest thing I think I've seen.
I went to Gus's birthday party Sunday, where he's staying at Little Creek in Knoxville, and I try to get there every week to go. And I didn't see Peyton Manning, and then the picture came out, and I'm like, wait a minute, I was there. Peyton went there on Monday, and he does a scholarship deal at the University of Tennessee, so he went by to see him. And I've always told Gus he's my favorite Manning. Now, don't tell Peyton that, but Gus,
he can handle it.
Yeah, Gus is he's a great guy. The thing that you might not know is that for many years we sat side by side in the press box, and so right now in the press box it sits empty, with his binoculars and with his name and a picture of him in an empty seat right next to where I sit at Neyland Stadium. But
that is outstanding.
He's a treasure, and I enjoy. I think I enjoy going to visit him more than he enjoys seeing me. It's just so much fun. Can I tell you one quick story about him? One of the stories he told me just fascinated me. So I asked him how he got his name. He said, from St. Augustus. I said, okay. I said, well, you grew up an altar boy? He said, yeah. I said, well, I did too. I served as an altar boy for many years. Did